I have studied in various social science universities in India, and we often see a certain discussions, certain I would say even narratives about the Indian Army, and sometimes very misplaced narratives, or rather misinformed narratives. And one such issue is the issue of AFSPA, the Armed Forces Special Parts Act. Now, a lot of times there is a lot of discussion about why it needs to go, why this is not required, and things like that. But the fundamental reason why sometimes conflict zones needs instruments like these, be it legal instruments or other instruments, is sort of forgotten and not really understood very well, especially by young people. So I wanted to ask you, what is the situation? What is in fact, the challenging situation that the Indian Army faces on the ground? That sometimes there is need for various instruments such as the AFSPA.
Yes, so as you said, there is a lot of misconception about the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, and so let me just initially, talk about why a law is required. Whether it is AFSPA, whether you call it by some other name, or is a different issue. Is a law required or is a law not required? Now, the Army's mandated role is defense of external borders. It has no mandated or specified role as far as internal security is concerned. Internal security is the responsibility of the state, it's the responsibility of the police, it's the responsibility of the central armed police forces like the CRPF, etc. Now, when the internal security situation goes out of control of the police and the other paramilitary forces, then the government says, okay, let's bring in the army to control the situation. Once the army comes in, it has to be given some powers. So, for example, a power to arrest somebody, a power to search a house, a power to fire back against terrorists, etc. Unless these powers are there, the army obviously just cannot operate. And therefore, I think the fundamental issue that needs to be understood is, if you think the army is required to deal with an internal security situation, then you have to legally empower the army. Otherwise, the army cannot do its role. This is one big misconception. Remove the AFSPA, but let the army remain. The fact is, if the AFSPA is removed, the army cannot operate in that area. I was the general officer commanding a division in Manipur, and there often the locals used to tell me, "Sir, we find that your people here close to our villages give us a sense of security, and therefore we want you to remain here, but AFSPA should go." And I should tell them, if AFSPA goes, then we also go. So I think that the key issue is, if today we think Jammu and Kashmir requires the presence of the army because the security situation is such that it cannot be controlled by the police, then you require a law. Now, I know there are issues about some aspects of the AFSPA, and some sections are very draconian, and we could discuss and debate those. You could have different viewpoints on it. And you could say, okay, we could look at some of these provisions. But to say repeal AFSPA, in effect, means remove the army from internal security duties. And that's a decision, I think, which needs to be taken, keeping in view, what is the environment, what is the security situation, what is the number of terrorists, can it be handled by the police alone? So, repeal AFSPA and keep the army is a dichotomy. It cannot happen. So I think that's the fundamental thing that people need to understand.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.